Continuing with our theme of the West, of the earth, of soil, I mentioned at the end of the last one that it's also the place of the adult. Um, East, birth. South, childhood. West, adult. North, old age. And it's earth. And that's because when we're an adult, we have to meet the demands of practical reality. We can't just play and do what we want, which is what we do schematically as children, even though we get sent to school and all those sorts of things. Um, we have to make life work, and that's practical. And life resists. Yeah, we have to learn to do things. It doesn't go how we want it to go. Um, so we're bringing spirit into matter. That's what we're doing as an adult, and that is, excuse me, that in a way is all we're here to do, to incarnate. In that sense, the West, the earth, is the most important element. Of course, it's not really, but in that sense, it is. As adults, we're here to incarnate, to bring spirit into matter. And that's a difficult thing, but it's also a joyful thing. The Christians talk about having your cross to bear. I think they talk too much about that. They make it a bit one sided because life is also about joy, but it is also about bearing a cross. Um, we talked in the South, in the water, about all those demons and tribulations we have within us, regardless of how difficult life might be around us. We have all those within us. So life is in certain respects difficult, and we need to bear our cross. We learn to suffer. Yeah, that is part of life. Um, Women have that naturally through childbirth. Men, well, in a traditional culture, they can be put in the sweat lodge where you learn how to suffer, you learn how to bear the heat. You get put out on a vision quest, yeah, on the hillside with nothing. You learn to bear the suffering. And that's part of life. You need that kind of strength. But then there is also joy. Yeah, I mean, bearing your cross, that can almost make it sound like that is the be all and end all of existence. That's the most important thing is that difficult as it is, you just keep going. And no, no, it's joyful to be here. That's that's the shamanic perspective. That's the indigenous perspective. There's joy in being here. We're not born, as the Tibetan Book of the Dead would have us believe, because we can't handle reality. After we've died, we can't handle the white light of reality, and we flee in terror, and we get a body. And then eventually, once we've gained enough wisdom, gained enough enlightenment, we won't need to be born anymore. So again, the earth just becomes this place you don't really want to be. Same with a Christian, it's created by the devil. So the shamanic perspective has got none of all that religious stuff, because when you make life, earthly life, something undesirable, yeah, in that sort of sense, in a way you're controlling people. You've got them, yeah. You've got them where it matters. You promise them, you say this place is miserable, but we'll offer you delight somewhere else if you're good. Yeah, but only if you're good, only if you follow the rules, and that way you control people. So this is quite a different thing coming in. Yeah, there's joy, and when spirit meets matter in the adult of the West, when spirit enters the body, yeah, there's joy. That's why creativity is joyful, because when you're creating, you're creating from the whole of yourself. Spirit is coming out of something. It's coming out of your vitals. It's not just a head thing. And so that spirit and matter, that is joyful. It's a deep thing. It tastes like of ambrosia, nectar. And you know you're living, you know you're doing the right thing when you have that joy. It's the human, almost seems to be part of the human condition these days at any rate, to have this big down on everything. Yeah, to be in one crisis or another. And I think shamanism, the indigenous soul, is an antidote to that, because there's so much good that's going on. We can easily ally shamanism with the environmental movement. Well, you've got to be really careful before you do that, because the environmental movement is full of people who hate humanity, and they think there's any changes happening on the earth because of humans, therefore it's bad. Look, isn't it terrible? We've got to reverse it. Well, humans are part of nature too. Yeah, we're releasing more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, lots of it. It's still very low by historical standards, but what's happening? The earth is greening. The trees are getting bigger. All sorts of semi-arid areas are greening over because they can get their carbon dioxide without having to lose so much water by opening their pores. All of that sort of thing. There's good stuff happening. I'm not denying there's bad stuff happening, but there's good stuff happening. And you can't really see the bad. You can't really see what you need to address without a proper perspective. So, yeah, remember there's that joy, and remember there's lots of good things happening. And in a way, I'm shifting over onto the north here, yeah, which is air, yeah, the elder, the mind, because they have that sort of perspective where they don't get caught up in these crises, these blind crises that we get caught up in, one thing after another. So, incarnation. And it often begins with the ordinary responsibilities of life, yeah, and then it can move on to that deeper creative aspect. And it's also why we have ceremony. Ceremony is there to remind us of the sacred. Children don't need it because they're in it. They wouldn't call it that, but they're just in that delight. Older people, they have the space, they have the wisdom, they have the perspective to see life and to see its deepest values. Because what is the sacred? The sacred is that which holds deepest value to us. We don't necessarily know what we value until things happen and we make decisions and you find out who you are and what really matters, what gives most meaning to your life. And it might be that without something creative in your life, life just doesn't work properly. There's something important missing. And then you do that creative thing, which might be running sweat lodges or painting pictures or whatever it is that you do. Yeah. It's like then life has got its full meaning. So there's a deep value for you. There's the sacred for you. I don't think life can have full meaning without the sacred there, without a connection to the highest possible purpose or deepest possible purpose. High, I don't like that word too much. That's too much about striving and not because we're not striving to become something other than we are. Yeah, in a way, we're allowing ourselves to be ourselves at our deepest. That's what we do when we create, and that's what we do in ceremony. Because you see, the adult, I said, the child and the old person, they can maybe have a sense of the sacred. The adult, it can be harder because we are caught up in those day-to-day responsibilities necessarily. But then we lose sight of what really matters, of what's most important. So ceremony is created for that to happen. There's sometimes a distinction made between the sacred and the ordinary. Things become ordinary when we do them a lot. So you might have a sweat lodge. It's out there, it's remote, in the wilderness. Whatever is unusual is the sacred, yeah, because it shifts us into something else. So you have it out there somewhere remote. But then you'd be doing that sweat lodge in the same place for 5 years. So suddenly it's become ordinary. So you then move it somewhere else. So it becomes sacred again. It's how we work. So anything unusual, anything dangerous, that can be sacred. Or it reminds us of the sacred. It puts us in that other place. Tigers, yeah, poisonous snakes, thunderstorms, nighttime, yeah, all these things, they put us into the sacred. Okay, I'll continue with a bit more on ceremony in the next one.